This is a bizarre incident that is now unfolded in central Bengaluru, where a Spanish national reported a burglary at his flat but faced serious communication barrier while seeking help from the police. Now, also from the landlord, who shared details of the incident, saying that the man confronted by two intruders in his apartment immediately thereafter called the police for assistance, attempting to explain his situation in the mix of broken English and Spanish. However, the helpline operator reportedly asked him to speak in Kannada before ending the call. Let's get in a word from Deepak now. Deepak, now, if someone who doesn't speak Kannada and is in a distressing situation, how do they approach the police then?
Well, at this point in time, several details are being looked into by the police as we speak. It's a matter of investigation. But yes, there are some issues that needs to be addressed by the police. Now, as far as the incident itself is concerned, it happened on the 15th, of this month in Bengaluru. This was near Richmond town, near Langford Garden. It was an apartment where two miscreants have gained access into the apartment. There was a Spanish individual who was staying on rent in this apartment, and he realized that they had managed to come inside, is what I'm told, based on, of course, the information that was given to the police. He locked himself in a room while the miscreants made away with the cash and a few valuables that was in the other parts of the house and then escaped. He eventually, at that point in time, tried to call the police. What I understand is that his fluency in English isn't great. He wasn't able to communicate well with the police at that point in time, and eventually the police tried to tell him that they're not able to understand and told him that they rather speak in English so that they could try and understand what he's saying. And at that point in time, by the time the police came, eventually it was in the morning that the landlord spoke to them, and based on the landlord's information, the police have registered an FIR. I have the landlord here with me, Mr. Sudeep. Let's try and get him to tell us what exactly had happened. Take us through minute by minute details, Mr. Sudeep. What exactly transpired here?
Well, good morning. Mr. April, who was my tenant occupying this apartment, he called me at about 8:30 in the morning and told me about this burglary that's happened. And I immediately rushed in. When I rushed in, he showed me the way that those guys have come in. It's through a toilet louver window, the glass panes which were removed. And the next door, there's a construction going on. So they had put these scaffolding rods through which these guys have gained access. And Mr. April was scared, and so he sat inside his room. He locked himself. He was inside his bedroom. So these miscreants, two of them I heard, came in. This is as he told us. And they came into the living room. And then there was a laptop bag with a microphone. So they've taken that, and there was a drawer which was open. They've checked the drawers too. And in the drawer, his wallet and platinum ring, some open cash which was kept on the table.
At that point in time, did he tell you that he tried to reach out to the police?
Yeah, he says he called up 100, that's a toll-free number, but Mr. April is not very fluent in English as well, so maybe his accent or something may not have struck chord with the local police who registered this, and they probably asked him to call back or something like that. I'm not sure. Even he's not given us much info on that.
Did he say that they asked him to speak in a particular language because they didn't understand or anything like that? So
he says, "Can you speak in Kannada?" They asked him, "Do you know Kannada? Can you speak in Kannada?" He says no, and after that he showed us the place where they went out, the bedroom window where they jumped out.
What time did he call the police is what he said, while the burglars were inside?
Yeah, when the burglary probably was happening, I think so. Maybe at about 1:30. He's not sure on the time.
Right.
Maybe about 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Okay. And did the police come in the night after his call, or they couldn't understand what he was saying?
They couldn't understand what he spoke because I don't think so he was clear enough, or I don't know, because I wasn't there.
When you speak to him, how do you communicate with him? Do you understand his language?
I speak English, yeah. I can manage.
Can you manage to understand what he's saying?
Yes.
Okay. Then do you think the police will be able to understand what he's saying based on his, accent or
it is a little bit difficult. I should say it's a little bit difficult. Okay. It's not as fluent as like how you and me are speaking.
Yeah.
So there may have been some issues on that. I don't know.
Okay. And we've seen, of course, a recent case involving a celebrity like Saif Ali Khan himself getting stabbed in his own house. You're his neighbor, living in the same apartment. When you see an incident like this happen, is there a sense of fear or anything like that that comes in?
See, I am staying on the second floor there with my family from the past about now 4 years. We had no such problem. This is the first time I am facing this issue in this apartment. All the neighborhood, all the buildings in the neighborhood, they have all got excellent security. Excepting the work going on in the neighborhood, we had no such problem. I think that could be a weak point. That is the only thing I feel in that apartment.
But overall, another concern that also comes up, of course, is, while you call the police, do you feel that issues like language should be a concern, or do you feel that, especially those on the other side of helpline number should be equipped with knowing basic English, Hindi, Kannada? Of course, Kannada would be the primary language because we are in Karnataka, but multiple languages, what is it?
No, at least English is a must, isn't it? We cannot expect anybody, all these local people to know Spanish and things like that. If they know English, that is sufficient for us.
Yeah. Well, that's the word from the neighbor and the landlord. They have, of course, narrated what exactly transpired that day. And here, it seems like the police somewhere, while he has, of course, tried to call them, could things have been different because they've not yet cracked this case. If the police had landed up there while the call was made...
well, was there any miscommunication or language barrier? That seems to be the major question, because had the police understood that there was a seriousness attached to this incident, they would have come in time and probably prevented this robbery from happening. Now, there has been certain questions that have been raised, Deepak, if you can ask when it comes to the people that are around, including the landlord. Was the language barrier a major issue as far as this man who was trying to, or the Spanish nationalist trying to communicate with the police, but apparently wasn't taken seriously?
Well, again, while we look at this, issue, we were just pointing out, he was just saying how important it is for the police to as well know English. Now, you being a landlord here, when you look at a burglary, do you feel that for the police here to understand multiple languages in a cosmopolitan or a metro city like Bengaluru is important?
I think from the knowledge that I have, the 100 or the 112, they do respond in English and in Kannada.
Okay.
Yeah, the police do respond, and I think they are quite equipped with this.
Right. Well, that's the word. I mean, as of now, this particular call, we of course tried to speak to the Deputy Commissioner of Police as well, and he has spoken to us and given clarity on what has happened. We'll of course be putting...
Well, was he asked to speak in Kannada or not? That remains to be the question there. Had the police acted on time, could this robbery would have been prevented by the police there if the SOS call was raised? In the meantime, as we shift focus and get you the other stories that are also coming in, let's in the meantime focus on this particular incident that has now been reported as far as this SOS call that was done by a Spanish national to a police number there. Was he asked to speak in Kannada? Let's take a look.
We are standing in the portion where the burglars managed to enter this house. I'm going to show you the window. You can see these particular glass panes here are retractable and they can be removed. They've managed to remove a couple of them and gain entry to the house through this particular entrance. Now, the person who was inside, who was a Spaniard, of course, didn't come out of his room. He stayed inside his room while the burglars, of course, made away with the valuables. I have one of the caretakers here with me. Sir, ನೀವು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಈ ಗ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇತ್ತಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ರ ನೀವು ಅಥವಾ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿ ಏನಂದ್ರು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಬಂದು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರ
ಈ ತರ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಎತ್ತಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರು
ಯಾರು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಎತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರ
ಇವರು
ಅಂದ್ರೆ
ಅವನು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಬಂದ್ರಲ್ಲ
ಓಕೆ
ಬಂದು ಅವ್ರೇನು ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡೋದ್ರ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ
ಓಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರ ಇಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಟೆನೆಂಟ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ
ಅದೇನಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಓನರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು
ಓಕೆ ಈ ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರಿ
ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
Well, he says that he had seen the two panes of the glass kept on this particular compound wall, and he says the police, of course, came here and conducted further investigations, and all the details were provided to the owner.
Let's in the